Good afternoon. Welcome to the talk. This is Flora Fu from the Division of Humanities. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker today, Dr. Koon Wai Bong. You must have seen the beautiful ink paintings by Dr. Koon on display in the exhibition upstairs. Among the 5 exhibiting artists, Dr. Koon enjoyed a special relationship with our university, dating back to 2006. In that year, Dr. Koon was invited by the Public Affairs Office to create a painting of HKUST that was used as the design for the Christmas card of that year. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find a copy of the card, but this is the painting he created. According to Dr. Koon, this painting has a personal significance, as it is his, I hope I get this right, as this is his first attempt in rendering modern architecture in a landscape representation of a real place. And 3 years later, in 2009, Dr. Koon had a solo exhibition in our Center for the Arts. You are welcome to take a look at the catalog later. Over the years, Dr. Koon has garnered many prestigious awards and won recognition in local and international exhibitions. In fact, for your information, his work will be featured in a very important ink painting exhibition that opens this evening at the M+ Museum. And his solo exhibition will be opened on this coming Saturday in Taipei. About 10 years ago, when I first invited Dr. Koon to give a guest talk to my Chinese painting class, he was considered a young rising star. Now, still young, he has established himself as a key figure in contemporary ink painting. Graduated from the Fine Arts Department at CUHK, Dr. Koon received training from a program that emphasizes not only studio art, but also art historical study. Turning to tradition as an important source of inspiration, Dr. Koon has carved out a unique artistic journey that anchors his work in traditional brushwork while exploring innovative presentations and modern expressions. The topic for Dr. Koon's talk today is Traditional Landscape Painting, Koon Wai Bong's Wanderings Between the Old and the New. And he will do some demonstration following his talk. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Koon.
Today, what I'm going to do is to separate this talk into 2 parts. The first part is a presentation based on this topic, and also share with you some of my ideas, concepts, and stories embedded in my artworks that you see in the exhibition. And the second part is a demonstration, which I would like, you may know how I work with the tools and material. Actually, I didn't see it was very interesting, but at the opening of the exhibitions, I received a lot of questions about the tools and material that are different from those by other artists in the show. So I realized that it may interest you too. And through the process of art making, I wanted to show you how I produce the landscape image in my work. So let's get the first part started first. Is that okay for me? It's a separate art screen, so you need to manually change the screen for me. Thank you. So actually, this exhibition began with a curatorial idea, which was made after a brief discussion between Professor Fu, me, and my wife, Professor Patrick Chan, who is working at Chinese University. We all believe that there's a lot of ink exhibition on the market or among museums or galleries, such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the British Museum, the Museum of Fine Art, or even the auction houses like the Sotheby's and the Christie's. But it seems that none of them, or very few of them, would like to put focus on landscape. Instead, they prefer the medium of ink as their focus, and how to say, and try to explore or try to find some artists who likes to actually they would like to explore something about the ink medium and find the artists who would like to how do you say challenge the boundary of Chinese painting, redefine the definition of it, and also explore something different from the traditional materials, forms of art, or the mode of expressions, in the form of just, for example, installation, video or photography. This is video work, and also even performance or conceptual art. Some artwork, even without a drop of ink or water, or not on paper or Chinese silk, can be regarded as ink work and also invited to the ink exhibition. As Foreign Food said, just later today, the M+ Museum will kick off their first ink exhibition in Hong Kong, to showcase a lot of ink works and ink artists, and the artwork includes the ink painting, of course, and also the installation, and also conceptual art, and also oil painting. You can see a wide range of media included in the ink exhibition, not just the artwork, within the medium ink. But of course, the landscape was very important in the past, and it as a genre has dominated Chinese painting for nearly 1,000 years, since the Five Dynasties or the Northern Zone, in the big contrast to the bird and flower or figure paintings. And of course, taking it as a theme of an exhibition is risky, because it will extensively limit the choices of artists you can pick up for the exhibition. But at the end, we all believe that it's still worthy, because it can highlights the identity of these exhibitions, making us different from others in the field, and also can highlight the ancient old genre landscape and allow us to examine how the landscape still can work with or get along with Chinese artists or Hong Kong artists in the contemporary era. So in these exhibitions, I contribute 3 sets of artwork. The first one is the Lion Rock Hill. The second one is the mountain range of Basinang. And the last one is a group of remote islands in the Sai-Kung regions. I call it Timbuktu. I will introduce why I named this work is Timbuktu. And first of all, I would like to introduce the basic idea or the motivations for me to produce these 3 pieces of artwork. Actually, life drawing is my direct response to these thematic exhibitions on the landscape of Hong Kong. And of course, there's a lot of scenic spots I can pick up for this, for these 3 pieces of work. But at the end, I just pick up 2, which are very related to my life. Because I think the closer the relationship between the subject matter and the artist is, the better the painting would be. That's why I pick up, Basinang, the mountain range of Basinang, because actually I lived in the Chinese University of Hong Kong, because I have I live in the staff residence of their campus, and my house actually faced the mountain range of Basinang. Besides, I also studied in the Chinese University of Hong Kong for 4 years as the undergraduate program, and also 2 years for the master program. And that's why I at least have 7 years experience to accompany with the Basinang. That's why this is the first thing I would like to put into my art creation. So CUHK, because. The next one is Lion Rock Hill. Of course, it is a symbolism of Hong Kong spirit, and I will explain it a little bit more later. And I pick up a Lion Rock Hill also because BUHK, because I work in BUHK and has been working there for around more than 10 years indeed. And of course, the backdrop of the BU campus in Kowloon Tong is the mountain, is the Lion Rock Hill. That's why this is the second, scenic spot I would like to put into my artwork. So live drawing, what I'm thinking about live drawing is not just to capture the outlook or capture the appearance of the scenic spot or the mountains and streams, but also try to get something inside. So it's the balance between the outward and the inward. And that's why I brush up something like, the ancient gazetteer, like the Xin An County gazetteer, which is about, Hong Kong and also Shenzhen. And also Yue Dai Gate, okay, is gazetteer, okay, with a lot of ancient map published in the Ming Dynasty indeed. This is the map, one of the maps from the Yue Dai Gate. And of course, brush up some, legends on the internet. And I find that actually two places, the Lion Rock Hill and also the Basineng, the mountain range of Basineng, are very close to one another because there's a story to link them up together. In that story, it is said that Hong Kong has a upheaval and become massive due to the visit of night dragons. That is why we call Kowloon is Kowloon actually means night dragons. We call Kowloon as Kowloon. And then the heaven, okay, sends heavenly, lions to Hong Kong for suppressing the dragons, and each of them becomes the mountain range of Basineng. Okay, though we in Chinese we say Basin, Basin actually means the eight immortal in Taoism, but actually it doesn't refer to it originally. Originally it refers to the 8 dragons. And the last one became, the Kowloon Hill, which disappeared nowadays. Okay, but from Yue Dai Gate, okay, you can find, the corner here. Okay, is Kowloon Hill, Kowloon Shan, which is, recording, the part of the story from the legend. And of course, the lion becomes the Lion Rock Hill at the end. Okay, this is the Lion Rock Hill. Okay, for the Lion Rock Hill, there's a lot of collective memories for Hong Kong. Sorry, because in the 1970s, RTHK produced a TV series, a quite long TV series and very popular, called Below. And it is to depict testing. Okay, so the reality of the grassroots Hong Kong people. At that time, Hong Kong is not a very rich city, and a lot of poor people living in Hong Kong. And this, TV series is to showcase, the reality of Hong Kong people's life, and to see how Hong Kong people overcome the adversity or hardships, and how to earn the so-called Hong Kong spirit. And the big one, the big guy on the front slide is the main character of that TV series. We call Dak Sok. And of course, the theme song was very, very popular at that time, even recently. And this song actually was composed by Gu Gafei and lyricized by Wang Jin and performed by Lo Men. And the very famous of the lyric is 放開彼此心中矛盾，理想一起去 testing 同舟人誓相隨，無畏亦無懼. It roughly means blurring the lines between contradictions in pursuit of utopia. As people are in the same ship, we have to take a vow to get along with each other and face challenge without fear. Okay, this is the Hong Kong spirit, to get through something, okay, together. And later on, because the lyric became very popular, okay, in Hong Kong, and becomes a motto to some people. And that's why in the springtime of 2002, Anthony Leung, Leung Ka-yin, quote a few lines of Eric at the end of his budget speech. And in the same year, Lo Men died in the autumn. And then the lyric, okay, of that theme song also quoted again in the summer by the premier of the mainland China, Zhu Yongge. And in 2003, before the 1st July March, 7一大遊行, a YouTube, okay, was edited with a number of old news photos as the footage, and also with the song as the soundtrack, and it became very popular on the internet. That's why nowadays a lot of young people know, the below the Lion Rock. And of course, in 2014, there was occupied Central actions with the Love and Peace in the Central in Hong Kong. And of course, we all remember that there are a few Hong Kong Spider-Men, okay, handing a huge yellow banner with the line, "I want true universal suffrage." Okay, and then I think the Lion Rock become the spirit of Hong Kong people. And I also condense all of this into a short essay as a color font of my, painting, just like, some appearance in the old work. Okay, I also make another, color font for another piece of work at the range of Ba Xin Nang. And of course, the lighter mountain is the Ba Xin Nang. And yeah. And the lower part, this is another view to, and there are some squares there, and the squares represents the Beverly Hills estate. And also to show the Guanyin status. The statue, the statue here. I dislike this very much. That's why I simplify it very much and minimize it. Okay, and actually, not many records, okay, in the ancient document for the Ba Xin Nang, the mountain range of Ba Xin Nang, but just a water pond, okay, in the St. Anne County Gazetteer, we call Lao Shui Hang. And I also mentioned the original why we say Lao Shui Hang as Lao Shui Hang, and also some history about Dai Bo, or the name of it. Dai Bo actually means big steps. Okay, Dai Bo. Okay, because Dai Bo was a forest in the past, and the passengers were afraid of the animal attack. That's why when they walk through it, they would walk with a big, quick step. This is the name why we call Dai Bo as Dai Bo, because they need to walk with the big step. And also the Perfect Cove, and this is a story about the Perfect Cove. In 1960s, the Hong Kong government built a dam for setting up a reservoir in the hope of solving the problem of water crisis, because there's not many, water in Hong Kong, and after the reservoir built, the water become salty. And it becomes an upheaval in the society at that time, because people use it to attack Hong Kong government, okay, to build up that thing too quick and without good management or supervision. And then it became a big things in the 1967 leftist riots, the 六七暴動. And this is the part. Okay, the line is the Perfect Cove. And also Ma On Shan, okay, this painting also included Ma On Shan. And this is part of Ma On Shan, and I removed all the high-rise building because I think it's not quite matched to my painting. And it also included in this short essay, and different from the last one, okay, for the Lion Rock Hill. This one is much like a travel note, and the last one just like the history of the Hong Kong spirit or the Lion Rock Hill, but this one is more like a travel note. And this is the last one, Timbuktu. And actually, it refers to the 9-pin group. Okay, islands in the Sai-Kung region, the very far, east of the Sai-Kung region. And this is also part of the Hong Kong Geopark. And first, I would like to talk about this name because it's quite unfamiliar to a lot of Chinese people, even this is in Chinese. And I think this is not difficult to recognize the second word, but how about the first word? Actually, the pronunciation of the first Chinese is gei. Okay, gei gong actually mean horn. Okay, something like this. And of course, it also refers to corners. So it means remote, or some, maybe next one. Yeah, it refers to corner, or some remote place. And the last two ones, okay, is a combination of two Chinese characters, night and sun. It means nine suns, because in China we know that sun is not just one, it's not singular, okay, but a plural in the past, because there are 9 suns in the sky, and belief, and this word, okay, if I remove the first two one and replace sun, and a lot of canonists may know this phrase. Who can guess what this means? Sankara, yes. So though the Chinese characters is not that common, but and actually for a lot of canonist people, we know, or Hong Kong people, we know Sankara. And Kala, of course, not refer to the night suns, but the living place of night suns. That's why I use this name. Okay, of course, Kala means remote or far away. So this name actually stands for a place remote from the city. And Timbuktu actually is not named by me, but by a professor working in Polytechnic University, Professor Sandy Ng. And Timbuktu is here. Okay, and this is another name of Timbuktu in the middle of the Africa. This is the ancient city, and a lot of people would like to go there, but it's quite difficult to find. That's why Timbuktu means in the middle of nowhere, not exactly refer to the city, but it means, okay, it's a place in the middle of nowhere, difficult to find. So the whole place refers to that things, okay, with that meaning. And of course, the paintings is going to capture the islands of Naiping Group. This is the Hong Kong map, and here is the Naiping Group. Okay, it's quite far away from the Hong Kong island, but within the regions of Sai Kung. And this is the outlook of the Naiping Group. And as I said before, I make a live drawing for these 3 sets of painting. And now I would like to show you some pictures, some reference that I took for making these 3 pieces of work. And this is Ma On San, and okay, because I'm quite familiar with it, so I just took a picture as a reference. And here is the Basineng. Okay, and then maybe carry on. Okay, and the lower part is the Beiwa Leisan Bisui. And also the Guan Yin statue there. Okay, quite obtrusive indeed. Okay, and also the perfect cuff there. Okay, and then go ahead, and then you can see the Ma On San. Okay, this is for the Basineng and the Siji San. Okay, this is the pictures. Some was found from the internet. Some was taken by me indeed. Okay, another angle to look at the lion head. Some historical photo, because I also to mention something about the past, not the presence of the lion rock. And this is the face of it, and I transform it into my painting, of course, at the end. Okay, this is the outlook of the Lion Rock Hill. Okay, the Naiping Group. Actually, there are 3 parts for the Naiping Group, and the image of on my picture is the South Naiping Island. Okay, the lower one. And this is the outlook of it, and of course, the picture is quite plain because it just taken from the sea, from a boat indeed. Part of Geo Park. And this picture is different from the last few ones because it taken from the sky. And also this one, I think, is more dramatic. I think this is the way for me to show something different from the ancient painting because we have this gadget. Okay, we have these gadgets to take photos. So our viewpoint, okay, would be different from something in the past. Okay. That's why I have some pictures. And this angle also, it's not from the people in the boat, but from the gadgets of the aerial photograph. Okay, and then I would like to talk about the aesthetic in my painting. Okay, because this work, this talk is about the wandering between the old and the new. So I start from the old, from these two, interesting ideas or interesting things. Okay, and in the past, we always mentioned, painting based on some categories like tradition, innovation. Okay, and tradition, of course, refers to China, and at the same time, it refers to the East. So in the past, a lot of people would like to say, okay, my work is the combination or reconciliations of the East and the West, something like that. And of course, it refers to old. Okay, refer to old. And innovation. Okay, some people would like to say, okay, innovation refers to the West or refers to something new. But in my eyes, okay, I think there's no East and West in the contemporary era, because what is East, what is West? Under the current trend of globalization, how are we still able to discern one from another? There's no East and West in my eyes. At the same time, okay, there's no traditional and innovative, okay, because what's the boundary between traditional and innovative? No traditional artwork can be called art if there's no thread of new insight embedded in it. And on the contrary, no art is purely innovative, absolutely immersed to the past influence. So that is my idea about the old and the new and the East and the West. Okay, everything is the organic compound. You cannot divide. Okay, my painting is just Chinese painting, old painting. Okay, about East or West, Western art concept. But how do I describe my work? Actually, my work, okay, with some elements from the traditional Chinese painting. And of course, I also brush up some idea from the Master Seed Garden Manual, which is the painting manual for the beginner painter, okay, to learn painting. Okay, it was published in the Ming Dynasty, so this is the very old book. And the image, for example, the image about tree would be something like this by woodblock print. Okay, and in this book, there's a lot of methods, okay, to draw, a lot of landscape motif, and it separate, the landscape into different, categories like a tree, rock, sky, and streams or waters. Okay, this is the way for us to learn Chinese painting, to learn landscape painting, and it frame our angle to look at landscape painting. Okay, rock method and some image about people, small figures in landscape painting, and at the same time, apart from the painting manual, I of course took a lot of reference of the ancients' work because we have a lot of good copies from books, from some printing things. Printing stuff. So I also get easy to get some reference of ancient masters pieces like this one by Dong Yuan, also Wang Gongmong, and also another piece by Dong Yun, and Sam Zhao, of course, our Dong Kei-chang, or Po Sam-yu, Mo Fan, and Zheng Naiqin. Okay, that's why my work is not just to copy something, but at the same time, I would like to inherit something from the past as the important things to inherit the traditions to my work. And I also mentioned something in the color font. For example, this work I mentioned Dong Yun. Okay, in the color font, it means that this is my inspiration. Okay, of that set of painting. And also, before I start the painting, I also have a chance to have a look of a book, okay, with a landscape about Hong Kong. Okay, this is by Jie Zilao, okay, one of the great master of the last centuries, and he once came to Hong Kong and captured, the Cafe Bay, Yu Gang Wan, and of course the outlook is not much like Yu Gang Wan, but this is the interpretation of the artist. So my work, to show my interpretation of a lot of concepts about the brush and ink we call bakmak, okay, from the tradition. That's why you can see, a very traditional things in my work, because this is the way I learned the Chinese landscape painting. And of course, it's also combined with some elements from the modern art. Okay, for me, okay, maybe bamboo or other things, okay, is emblems of gentlemen, okay, landscape, maybe another kind of a group of gentlemen, whereas the key or the accentuations of each of my bamboo tree or landscape motif lies in the spatial arrangement of each painting surface, and also the sit-set assemblage of the manifold panels as a whole. So you can see my painting always in form of panels, and as a panel there's a lot of frames. I use frame, okay, I use panel as a very important elements to my work, because this gadget, okay, iPhone or smartphone, we always see pictures, okay, through the internet, or to go outside, maybe we have a touch of the the nature, we always take photo, and photos not just from our iPhone but also from the internet with frame. Okay, which is different from the view angle, or the experience is different from the people in the past. And also in the building, just like here, when you look outside with nature sense, natural sense, you also see the scene, see the nature through frames, something like this. So this is the visual experience of modern people, and I would like to use the framing, the panels, to showcase that, okay, this is the visual experience of modern people. This is not just a piece of artwork, life drawing about nature, but also at the same time through the formalism to show you that, okay, this is a piece of artwork by a modern artist. Of course, okay, the feature of it is fragmented. It means that the image is not a full picture. Okay, maybe I use these things, okay, to show you the idea of fragmented understanding of nature. Okay, in the past, maybe we have a full picture of nature, because when we study the ancient classics, there's a lot of things, including the Chinese literature, the history, about the sky, about the earth, about mathematics, about science, about lots of things. So that's why the understanding of nature of the ancient people is quite holistic. But for modern people, we have no idea about the full picture of nature. Maybe we can understand nature, okay, but just part of it, okay, just like university. Okay, we study a special subject. You have the major here, and maybe for me, okay, when I enter Chinese University, I study fine art. If I'm a fine art student, I may not have enough knowledge about science, mathematics, or social science, or others. Or maybe I just focus on humanities subjects, or just fine art. Okay, maybe I'm not very good at understanding maybe Chinese literature or history, something like that. So our understanding of nature is fragmented, okay, is partial. It doesn't mean that we don't have the ability to understand the whole nature, but somehow it's just something like this, okay, a full picture of nature, but a combination of fragmented pieces. That's why, okay, our understanding of nature would be something like this, okay, a lot of fragment and then joined together, or like this. So in this, three sets of paintings, this is the idea I would like to convey through the form of art. And the last part about my picture, okay, with the aesthetic, okay, is the Japanese taste. Because in the past, people would like to say, okay, Chinese art is a combination of the elements from the East and the West, but this is not true. Okay, this is not the truth because, for example, in Hong Kong, apart from the influence from the West or the inherited, the heritage from the China from our past, it also has some a lot of cultural elements from other countries like Japan, like Korean, like the South Asia. And for my paintings, I really, really appreciate some taste from Japanese arts. For example, the dry landscape, I like the quietness and also the philosophical sense, okay, from the scenery like this. Of course, they have the very special philosophy about their aesthetic. We call wabi-sabi. Okay, actually it means imperfect, impermanent, or incomplete. Of course, this is not the way I purchase in my work. What I try to do is to make my work as simple as possible and as serene as possible, as quiet as possible. That's why, okay, in conclusion, I would like to say, okay, the influences of my painting includes the brush and ink, okay, the concept of brush and ink from the ancient arts, the visual experience, okay, that I draw some idea from the modern painting or modern art, and also the simplicity and also the serenity, okay, from the Japanese aesthetic. It also go to this aesthetics also go to other piece of artwork like this one. This is details of it. You can see how I work with the brush and ink through the images. And also this one, also the sit-set arrangement of the panels and the brushwork. We always emphasize the so-called center brush technique, 中锋, or this one, vertical. Okay, and about old and new, and other ways to on the whole, actually, I think you may regard it as a conclusion. What I intend to do is to merge the old and new together, inheriting something from the past and divulging something belong to our time. O, for my eyes, okay, through a use of brush and ink. Okay, I can walk through the ages old history and having a dialogue with the artists in the past. But of course, in the process of working and reworking or imitation or emulations, I realized that my own style is taking shape in my hands. It means that when I copy something from the past, when I try to inherit something from the past, I'm not going just to follow them. Okay, what I try to do is to put my interpretation on them, but get the essence from them. Okay, get the core value from them. That's why at the end, okay, this is not the ancient masterpieces, but this is my work. For the new, for me, I often get stuck in the balancing the compositions and a set of panel painting, because I want to allow each painting to have its own distinctive composition thread and also harmoniously unite, okay, the whole set together at the end of the day. It means that how to make each panel different and make the whole painting as a whole. Besides that, I also try different form, okay, to produce my artwork. This is the master seed manual prints, and then I based on the motifs here to make a photo. This the first row is about the image, okay, of the master seed painting manual. And the second row is about my interpretations of different methods, painting method, like tree methods. The first one, the deep one, is tree methods, and then the rock methods, and then cloud, and then the sky, the water. And the last part is sound arts. Actually, is to producing some sound from nature. For example, tree. Okay, I record some sound from tree. Okay, in the breeze or something. And of course, there are two sides. One side is about natural sound, and the other side is is some sound from the city. maybe from the vehicle, maybe from the air conditioning machine, something like that. So the whole set is not to capture, something from nature. Is the modern mindset that when we look at, for example, when you look at, some beautiful, scenery picture, at the same time, we will be interrupted by a lot of modern things, okay, about our life, okay, belong to modern life. So this is the work I would like to, show, our modern mindset. Okay, this is the way for people to play. Okay, and then I also work with machine, okay, because you can see, my painting, for example, this is the bamboo grove, and I'm not just to capture the appearance of bamboo grove, but also capture, the breeze, the wind, okay, within the bamboo grove. And for capturing the breeze, I also think, okay, not just by the visual, elements, and also by mechanical things, okay, to capture how to capture the feelings of the wind in a bamboo grove. That's why I attach, a set of fan, round paper fans, to a machine and allow it to swing slowly to capture the spirit, of, this bamboo grove. Okay, another painting like this. Okay, this is another way to draw my painting in black colors indeed, and show the idea of the use of ink, so-called 用墨, in my work. I don't want to elaborate too much, but at the end, I would like to show you this work because it will be on display at the M+ exhibition. Yes, and I think this is the end of my presentations. Okay, so basically my work is a life drawing, and I would like to put some aesthetic in it based on the concept, my wandering between the old and the past. And maybe before I start my demonstrations, I would like to ask any questions for my works?
When classical Chinese painters talk about brushwork, they always emphasize the practice of calligraphy. So we wonder if calligraphic practice still plays an important role for your brushwork.
Actually, yes, because I think, as I said before, I don't want to get this presentations too complicated, so I skip a lot of important things. Actually, what's the meaning of traditions in the past? In my eyes, this is the core values of brush and ink. Okay, brush means the calligraphic brushwork. Okay, because Chinese people believe that, okay, how to enhance the quality of painting. Okay, they believe that because we always use line for the capture the image of, for example, the landscape. So they think that if we can combine some abstract element from calligraphic work, it can help enhance the quality of your painting. That's why I actually spent a lot of time on studying a lot of brushwork technique from the ancient master. Okay, and I try to put my interpretation on them. That's why my painting is not just a painting, but you can regard it as a calligraphic work. Okay, because it is a combination of different types of calligraphic brushwork.
Thank you. And so I think we will ask Dr. Koon to start demonstration, and you can raise questions.
Yes.
During the demonstration, and he will be happy to answer your questions. And also, our library has kindly prepared some refreshments at the back. You're welcome to help yourselves. And there are some catalogs for the exhibition upstairs, and you are welcome to pick up one. Okay, so we'll help Dr. Koon to start the demonstration, and you are welcome to raise your hand anytime if you have questions. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so you mentioned that the framing for your artwork kind of has a modern perspective, especially through the use of technology like drones. Do you think that this ability for modern capturing of composition kind of changes the meaning of landscapes that artists have been depicting for centuries?
Yeah, of course. My ways to frame my work is the ways to make something different from the past. Okay, I think this is quite possible. okay, for us to use some kind of visual experience from our life to the painting to make something different. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you talk about how you make your fragmented panels to make it more holistic.
Mm.
I'm just interested in like, how do you do that? And what's your conceptual process in doing this?
Actually, it means that the actual process of making a piece of artwork.
Yeah, it's about your independent panels.
Mm, mm.
You make it as a whole.
Yeah, actually, the whole holistic view of a landscape. When you look at, for example, the Lion Rock Hill, can you show back the Lion Rock Hill, or any pictures of my work?
I'm afraid the photographer
Okay.
has switched to
Okay,
the
you can imagine, okay,
demonstration mode.
the Lion Rock Hill. You can see the view, okay, the Lion Rock Hill, but you miss some part because of the fragments, okay, because of the frame. Okay, my idea about the fragments and the holistic view is that you can still have a full picture of Lion Rock Hill because I capture the mountain range of the Lion Rock Hill, but okay, it is fragmented. Okay, each picture is restricted or limited by the frame itself. You cannot see the further upper part or the further lower part. This is the way we see nature. When we see nature through an iPhone, okay, you just capture something within the frame. Okay, you may take a full picture, but somehow you cannot see every single detail of it. That's why you see series photo. Okay, to maybe a problematic view, you take the picture one by one to capture the whole thing and capture including the details. This is the way for me to make my picture. That's why each picture I would like just to show part of it. Okay, you cannot see everything. Okay, but I play with the compositions. Okay, the first composition is different from the next one, it's different from the next and next one, and so on. This is the way I compose the whole thing. This is the way we study nature. Okay, but on the whole, at the end, if you are hard enough, if you have enough reference, if you have enough resources, you still have the full picture. But the full picture is not a complete picture, but it's a combination of fragmented.
You want to put your reflection on this modern features of painting.
Yeah, this is the way for me to put my so-called modern thinking to my work. Yeah.
This modern way of thinking applies to all of your pieces, like say the HKUST image?
You mean?
How would you translate that maybe to that one?
You mean the actual process of art making?
No, I'm saying like how it affects all your, not just the paintings that you showed us, but all of your.
Actually, I have different styles of work, and this one is rather traditional. And okay, I just played with the ink method. Okay, so-called splashed ink method. Okay, invented by one of the great art masters in the last century, Zhang Daiqin. And the lower part of the painting you can see is just is a forest with the splashing ink. Okay, all colors, of course. And the center of the, the upper part of the painting, of course, is the campus, the outlook of the campus. And combine the two things together. I get the picture from for a first colleague, and then I may use some of my imaginations to enlarge the lower part of the forest, become something like that, because I think this is the way for me to upgrade the picture. Okay, the picture is just an outlook of an actual scene, but I think this is not artistic enough. That's why artists need to use a lot of imaginations to make something different, and the lower part is my input or my interpretation of that work. And the upper part, yes, this is my first drawing on architecture on my own painting. Of course, I did a lot of things like this, but they are just sketch. But right now it become a painting, and I actually like this work very much.
Okay, so you can think about other questions to ask, and we want to invite Dr. Koon to start his demonstration now.
In the past, we used the ink stick to produce ink, different from the liquid ink. Okay, for professional artists, except calligrapher, okay, because they need a large amount of ink. But for Chinese painter, we use the ink stick instead because the higher quality, okay, less sticky. I use very common Chinese brush. This is not very expensive, less than $20 in it for landscape painting. For landscape painter, we are not very picky about Chinese brush, but picky about ink and also paper. Okay, this type of paper is different from shrine paper. Okay, we all know that Chinese artists use shrine paper a lot, but for landscape painting, we need some kind of texture stroke. That's why we need this bark paper we call peizi. Okay, this is unknown or unknown. My students knows it. Okay, different from live drawing. As a Chinese landscape painter, we may make a painting by imagination. Okay, this is tree method. Try to build up the trunk first. And if you are familiar with the Master's Sit Garden Painting Manual, you will know it divides into several methods for tree. Okay, for example, the branches methods. This is the antler we call 六角枝. Not referring to some specific tree, but it shows the natural characteristic of a normal tree. Okay, allow the branches go up. The trunk method by single line or outline. The roots. Maybe use the go and jam method. Okay, draw one by one. And the way for me to hold the brush is quite traditional. We try to or intends to erect the brush because we can add a better force on the work to make the brush work look more forceful. The so-called choreographic brushwork doesn't mean directly to put the brushwork from a choreographic piece to your painting, but try to use the same principle, painting principle to your work, like the center brush technique, 中锋. Actually, landscape painting, unlike the bird and flower painting, is quite boring. I mean, the process of art making, because it just repeats something. But the technique is that you need to repeat something, but get it interesting. Okay, not repeat something, but get your painting boring. So my concern of the work is the contour line of the foliage, the leaves. Get it irregular, okay, with something out and something in. Okay, this is a time-consuming method, and later I will try different tree methods to get it look better and quicker. Is that okay to see? Yeah. If you really want to have a closer look, don't hesitate to come out. Feel free to come out. In my lesson, the lots of students at the back, because it's the best way to look at the demonstration work. Okay, one tree, and then you may add a few more. next to it. So now it's going to build up a forest. For a forest, you need grouping. Unlike Western drawing, I think Chinese painter prefer the brushwork with the artist's confidence. Okay, we are not drawing the line with a lot of small and light brushwork, but we put very forceful brushwork with kind of confidence, very firmly to put the brushwork. And this is the manner for choreographer to do their choreographic work. Okay, grouping of a forest means that, okay, maybe I have a forest here. Okay, this is in my head. And then I get it into two groups. This is a very basic technique for landscape painting. Okay, maybe they are very similar to one another, and then another one. So, not one tree. Well, sorry, not one tree, of course, but the grouping, and get one loose, and this group on the right hand side, dance. We always think about how to show variation on your work. Of course, making some drama with the dark and light ink together. Okay, making it different by another foliage method, the broad stalk method. You can get it quicker. Of course, my concern also go to the tonal variation, but the tonal variation of one single tree is very subtle, very limited. Okay, because the big contrast should lies in the tree next to the deep one, like this one. If I use the same method, I get it in light tone. So not the shape of the foliage show difference, but also the tones. Of course, the void space is very important in Chinese painting because it is going to show the idea or the concept of yin and yang, yam yang. Okay, I need to build up more branches. You can see I draw a lot of branches because this is the bone structure of landscape painting. We call bone structure, it means structure. The foliage can get better. I mean, the allocation of foliage would get better if you have a nice bone structure on your work. And this one, I prefer some different, you may call texture. Representing different types of trees in this forest. Get it higher, lower, higher, variation. The deep become the fronts and the light tone become the back, of course. Receiving at the back of the painting. And of course, bare tree without any lips for this one. Okay, the trunk. Extend more. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then a riverbank. Okay, as the foreground of this painting. A typical rock method, starting with outline and then texture stroke, we call sun. And of course, in my eyes, texture stroke is not the, texture stroke sun is not just referred to the texture of a rock, but it is to show the style of the artist. So the main style, okay, the main thing for building up the style of the artist relies in the style of the sun. So this is rather important to landscape painting. A big rock, small rock, and if you have learned landscape painting, you know that this is the very typical way to think about rock. Okay, we may not consider, okay, this is a landscape and I have a picture and then I capture the outlook of it. We always think about how to allocate the ups and downs, how to play with the brushwork, with the style of curatorial brush. Okay, get it too flat. That's why I need to build up another one here to show variation in terms of the shape. Okay, maybe some at the back. And the basic principle is that we are going to build up a small group, small rocks, okay, here. And the aims of it is to separate two big rocks. Or use a big rock, for example, the first one, to separate these small rocks and this small rock, two groups of small rock. And of course, the two groups of small rocks should be different in terms of size, number of rocks. Something like that. Okay, and then we build up a lot of things based on these principles. Maybe a bigger one around here. This is a very good paper because you can see I'm very easy to produce a texture stroke. And you cannot find this quality by using the Swan paper, Xunji. Okay, maybe another one here. Variation. Okay, get more for the river. In general, the tree is in depth and the rock lights. By balancing it, the trunk of the trees lights the rock with some deep tones for the reed, some grass. Maybe I get it more later. The upper part. And some dots around here. To make the rock look more vivid. And the dogs actually represent, in the past it represents the moss. But I think it also can represent some small plants along here and there. Okay, maybe I build up another type of mountain here. I cannot build too big because we don't have enough time. Okay, maybe in this size. I think the quality of making the texture stroke, the sun, is to show the brushwork. Okay, you are not just to show the texture, but the texture to build up by a lot of brushwork. And this is hard to do so, of course. I would prefer to have a small waterfall here. Narrow it down, don't get too big. Some trees. This is very outstanding, so I need to draw it very careful. Okay, get some light tone for this one, which can show the bone structure of the tree. Okay, concerned about the ups and downs, so I get this one large and rather small, and rather dry. So this is Xie style, that's why just casually add some dog there. Building up a bit more. I just look at the clock because I'm just afraid of running out of time.
Do you have questions? Any questions? Dr. Koon, yes.
Do you
think it's like more the job of an artist to respect and uphold tradition or to innovate in his work?
Sorry, pardon.
I think it's more the job of an artist to respect and uphold tradition or innovate.
Both indeed. Both indeed. We of course, as a Chinese artist, especially Indian artists, I think we respect tradition, okay, because this is a source of inspiration. For a lot of artists, they try to get away from tradition because they think that tradition is kind of burden to them. Because if we have to follow a lot of rules, you have to remember a lot of things, to remember how the ancient artists, their drawing methods or painting methods, tree methods, texture, stroke. It's rather difficult for them to study them in it. You need a lot of resources, you need a lot of books, and to remember to study their theories. But for me, I think this is also kind of inspiration. You may regard it as a burden. At the same time, you may regard them as a great source of inspiration so that you have limited resources for your art creation. But of course, as a contemporary artist, I think you cannot repeat the same thing as the ancient people. We cannot just follow rules of the of other people. You have your own identity. You have your own, you have your own style. And innovation, of course, is very important. Artwork relies on creativity. So we respect both, okay? We respect both. But I'm different from some artists because I just think that, okay, tradition is not a burden to me, okay? It's just like water, okay? And of course, you can have a boat on the surface of water, or you may sink from the water. Up to you, okay? You want to be the people under the water, okay? You regard it as a burden. Otherwise, okay, I would like to, okay, above the water.
I have a question that the traditional I have a question that Chinese traditional artworks, they are the combination of drawing, stamps, and poems. How do you think about the literature part of the Chinese traditional artworks?
Yeah, in the past, I think there's a lot of requirement from an artist. For example, painting. Okay, you have to have very excellent painting skill. As a painter, you also need choreography because at least you need to write inscription on your work, and also literature. Okay, but I think modern education form artists differently. Okay, it means that maybe we focus on painting, we are not very good choreographer, but somehow we need to write choreography. That's why you see a lot of ink artists with just a very short inscription in their work. Okay, this is inevitable because we have no time on training choreography, different from the ancient people. We need to play iPhone, we need to short paint, we need to do a lot of things. But I think we have different criteria from to our artwork. In the past, maybe just simply follow something, and then you will be an excellent artist. But right now, you need to strike a lot of things, strike a balance between a lot of things. So I think even maybe we are limited to maybe painting. If you're a painter, maybe you're good at painting, you're good at calligraphy. You may not good at Chinese literature or seal engraving, but it doesn't matter because as a painter, okay, for an excellent painting to fit the criteria of modern art, you have a lot to learn. At least in the past, they needed to learn something from the West, but right now you need to learn modern art of the in the West. You need to learn contemporary art, conceptual work. So even maybe the area of our study is smaller, but this is hard enough. This is hard enough.
Any other questions?
Okay, build up a small house, pavilion. even there's no people, but a house, a table with some chairs can indicate people. Okay. Maybe I also boat here. Thank you. This is for balancing the composition, not getting the right hand side too heavy by getting something on the left. Of course, for my own work, it is quite impossible to finish that work just by one layer of ink application, and it quite a lot of layers. But as a demonstration work, it would be something like this. Okay, some dots. Get it look more vivid. Get some dense and then some loose. And if you have some dot around here, especially a heavy ink dot, it will be making it more important to your work. It's almost done. Distant mountain. Okay, any further question?
Dr. Kun, you
Yeah.
just mentioned that you use a center tip brush, but throughout the painting, I noticed that actually when you are painting different objects, you are vary the angle of holding the brush. Could you explain a little bit more on this?
Okay. Actually, there are two ways to hold the brush. One way is center brush technique. Actually, to erect your handle, and this is very authentic. Another way is to a little bit lie down your brush. This is a slanted brush technique, 側風. And in painting, you use both. Okay, but the important thing is that even you use slanted brush technique, your brushwork, okay, your brushwork should be forceful enough. This is the principle. Okay, no matter what kind of method or technique for your painting, actually, they are not very, very essential to your work. The important thing about your work is that to let the brush work forceful, because this is the principle, okay, of all brush work in a painting. Okay, maybe you use standard brush technique, maybe you use slanted brush technique, no problem at all. You can get it with some mist. Thank you. Okay, maybe I want to painting with few bursts, and then this is the work I did for the demonstration pack.
Isn't this wonderful?